Okay, so what's up, Jackson?
Yeah.
Gonna have Daniel Burke. Do you know any of the people right now that are in show queue? Oh, you're also echoing a little bit. Someone is.
I don't know those people.
Does Sameera know how to do this, or?
She'll figure it out.
Thank you, Viceroy. Appreciate you.
Oh, have you been streaming this whole time?
Yeah. Yeah, actually.
I didn't know that. I can't believe that. That's so sus.
Yeah.
Now, people noticed that Richard Spencer was in the space, right?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be debating him Wednesday on this precise topic because believe it or not, Mr. Spencer has taken the pro-Ukrainian side, supposedly. Does Sameera know how to get in here? Or? Let me see.
She's not even in your quarantine channel.
Let me invite her to the Discord. She probably doesn't know. So invite people, copy right here. So, and then when she joins, we'll be able to get it. Member logs. Okay, she just got in. Okay, she said she just got in. Let me find it. Oh, okay, she's right here. Make sure she has the role. Okay, she's a member now. All right. So we're just gonna drag her up. All right. We're all in.
Perfect. Sounds good. Have you told the story yet?
Yeah. No, I haven't. No, I haven't. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. I haven't told the story yet. Do you want to tell it?
Do you want the story?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So basically, we've been trying to host these Twitter spaces, and there's literally this one person who DM'd Jackson that they kept taking our Twitter space down, and that, what did they say? What was their condition for us to ease up on it?
There was no condition. They went
I have
full.
reported your Twitter space to authorities, so don't be surprised if it keeps ending every time you start. I won't share this DM with anyone, so if you stop the propaganda, I will ask my contacts to stop investigating you. Holy shit. And I go on this person's profile. They say that they're a watchdog for Majority Report, which is Sam Cedar's show, right? I hope I'm not getting that wrong.
Well, I mean, what they can't accomplish through debate, they have to resort through censorship, right? We invited them to get on the fucking space and defend their position, and why do we need to be deplatformed? And we'll save them the effort. You don't even have to tattletale to the authorities, right? Just make your case about why you're in the right and why we're wrong, and we will just end our own space in shame, and we'll just stop propagating stuff in shame because you're just right? I mean, that's how it fucking works, right? Or what they're saying, we're reporting you for propaganda, okay, but Ukrainian propaganda is good and okay, but Russia propaganda is bad. Well, why? What makes Russians worse than Ukrainians? I want to know why these people say that. Why is Ukraine better than Russia? Because clearly it's not about who's more truthful and who's lying about the facts on the ground. I mean, if you don't care about the facts, what does it matter, you know?
Yeah, and there didn't even give us any concessions or like negotiation for keeping our Twitter space up. For being big fans of Ukraine and Zelensky, they had a very Putin-esque approach to this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, Putin's an authoritarian, and he's cracking down on free speech. Well, isn't that what she's doing by reporting us our Twitter? What exactly did we do, by the way? That's such an offense to airwaves, and just we cannot communicate through the use of sound because the words we're using are just so cripplingly offensive and emotionally devastating. They can't hear a fucking perspective different from their own. Yeah, fascists always accuse the other side of what it actually amounts to their own doing. Like, how is what she's doing not fascist behavior? I mean, it's not like what about it is not fascist, right? Isn't this kind of like authoritarian fascist behavior, just shutting us down because you disagree with us? Why can't you just...
It's exactly the point that you were making before we got shut off, right? It's an example of liberal authoritarianism. Not only do they just, want to counter the lies, or what they say are lies, they just want to shut us down. They don't even want to give us the platform to speak. They want to deny that from us, which is absolutely insane. I guess
I'm just maybe they're gonna make the argument we're genetically different from them. I mean, what can't they persuade us? Like, how do we see it from your end? How do we agree with you? How do you convince us that you're right? That I guess you can't. We just have a genetic predisposition for being pro-Russia. I mean, I don't know.
Absolutely bonkers. I'm furious.
Yeah, it's just, look, we're entering a period of liberal authoritarianism. We should expect more of this. Liberal fascism, right? I mean, this is exactly what we should expect.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to put out a tweet to direct everyone who was listening to your Twitch. So, what's also interesting? It's just Twitter.
Yeah.
That they try to control. And I think that's, we need to make a broader point about that. Twitter basically drives mainstream discourse, I feel. CNN and MSNBC, they look at Twitter before reporting. It's absolutely insane. I mean, they're not trying to shut us down on Twitch or on Discord, right? That's pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, they actually might be trying to do that, so let's not jinx it. They may very well be trying to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty pathetic. And it's a little spooky. Like, who are her contacts that magically can make any Twitter space disappear? It's actually scary.
Three times.
Does that mean they could do the same to any other platform they want? I mean, is it just Twitter? And I'm actually kind of curious.
Yeah, right. I don't know. What I do think is interesting is that you know what I think is really interesting with all of this is clearly people are interested in hearing the truth, what we have to say. I mean, you look at George Galloway's show today. He had tens of thousands of people tuning in, record numbers. Same with all of our streams. People want to hear this side, even if they don't necessarily agree with it. And the fact that, and I'll also say that I've noticed that we are all getting, big boosts in followers from displaying the truth.
Yeah, I've noticed
the
that.
Other side, though the other side might be getting a lot of viewers, they're not necessarily getting a big boost in followers. Like, just on that Twitter space, I got so many new followers, and that's the real reason why they want to kick us off, because we are winning through the strength of our arguments.
Yeah, on Twitter, I got, like, in the past week, I've gotten, like, it's crazy, like, 1,000 followers or something. It's actually insane.
I've gone up 7.
7,000?
In 1 week.
Holy fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
I have to look at my Twitter stats, but I'm guessing my followers have increased as well. But I mean, this is pretty crazy what's going on, though. I mean, I'm not as optimistic as Jackson, though, because if they're succeeding in shutting us down, what's next?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we should all be bracing for a wave of censorship, definitely.
Yeah.
And of course, they're not attacking, the CPUSA types, the PSL types who are saying, both sides are bad, we need diplomacy, etc., etc. It's just us. It's just us.
I love the thing. Oh, we're against war. I mean, what do you mean you're against war? I mean, were you against
Bullshit.
NATO's expansion? Yeah, okay. So you think Putin was right to do what he did? No, I think Putin should have allowed Ukrainians to continue to shell and attack the people of the Donbass.
There's a lot to be said about those folks, especially, the likes of Abby Martin, who famously got Crimea so wrong back in 2014. She was actually invited to cover Crimea, to go there and see for herself what was going on. And she said no. And now, 8 years later, she gets this wrong. I mean, that's expected. But for her to take like this illiterate, uneducated, anti-war approach, it just speaks volumes, really.
You know what? That account who was reporting our Twitter, that is actually a fake profile picture. They have 3 followers. They joined in January 2022. I think we have a bot on our hands. What do you guys think? I think this is actually a government bot. This is not a real person.
No.
Yeah.
And Andrew Saturn sent me a DM. There's a website called thispersondoesnotexist.com, and it allows you to identify who has a fake AI generated photo. This person does. That's from Andrew Saturn.
Wow.
But let me.
So the government is trying to shut us down.
Wait, what was going on?
I think that a lot of this has to think about the next phase of this. In 2 weeks, there's going to be the CPI conference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only possible through meeting in person and having a large gathering in person to actually, resist this kind of censorship.
True.
So I think that we should take it as a good challenge to go there and then go beyond, keep moving and keep growing that kind of space for people to talk in person about what needs to be done, because this is fascism.
Yeah. I mean, we are witnessing the transition from a decaying liberal society into we're not going to exaggerate, but we can at least say it's the seeds of fascism, right? We're looking at the foundation of a future fascist takeover of the Western world, right? I mean, look at what Trudeau's doing with his Emergencies Act and the direction that Western Europe is in, censoring foreign media. I mean, I think that's precisely the type of direction we're going in.
Scared that my Twitter account is going to be suspended now, because if they succeeded in getting rid of or ending those spaces,
here's what I think.
Our accounts are under threat.
Well, here's what I actually think. If I get suspended from Twitter, I am not making another Twitter. I am just going to go to Trump's Truth Social. I'm going to go to alternative sites for that, and I'm going to say, okay, the so-called these old platforms are dead. Like, I'll be like, I would sooner believe if I get suspended from Twitter. Twitter's already a sinking ship, right? People are leaving it, and it's the tides are clearly in the next direction. I mean, Twitter just made it so you can put NFTs as your profile picture because they're desperately trying to keep up with Internet 3.0, which I don't think Twitter is going to have a significant part of, actually, right? I mean, who uses AOL anymore? Who uses fucking Yahoo, right? You don't even know what these websites are. So if Twitter suspends me and censors me, I'm just going to move to somewhere else. I'm not going to try and make another one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ben Rubinstein is in general. Does he have to go to show queue?
No, I can just take him here. He's here.
Yeah.
Hey, can you hear me just fine? I haven't.
Yeah.
Oh, dear Jackson, Hinkle, Sameera Khan, I am a real person from India All I did was click report this 2 times each time you started a new space. That's all. I'm not a bot and definitely not from the Imperial West. 8 seconds ago. This person is listening
Totally
to
a
us
real
on
person.
Twitch.
Very much a
Yeah,
real
listening
person.
to us on Twitch.
So there's actually a
Seriously,
website you can go on. It's called This Person Does Not Exist. This Person Does Not Exist.com. And you can get these fake AI generated photos of people. And that's what her profile picture is. It's literally a fake AI generated profile picture. And I challenge Brownshaw, if you're a real person, post another photo of you. Is that the only photo of you that exists? We'll post another one. Go ahead. I challenge you. If you're not a government agent and you truly are someone who lives in India and you're a real person, go ahead and show us another picture of you.
Why is a person from India a watchdog for Majority Report and Emma Vigland?
Well, it's so interesting because, guys, look, first of all, it's been proven that the government manipulates public media through social media, right? So politically, who does the government align with? Do they align with the right wing? No, they align with the left-wing progressives. They astroturf Sam Cedar, they astroturf Vosh, they astroturf Dylan Burns, they astroturf, I don't know, maybe possibly Destiny. Those are the people the deep state astroturfs. You know, it's not like they take a neutral side or something. They definitely side with people like Sam Cedar. These are definitely government, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, Medicare for all.
Absolutely.
A person from India is very concerned if we get Medicare for all here. I mean,
yeah,
crazy.
I mean, get up.
Listen, Hawes, I think you're jumping to conclusions. Just because these people align directly with the State Department on Ukraine, Syria, Cuba, Lebanon, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and a whole host of other countries, China. You know, I think you're jumping.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, look, who cares if on top of that, right? They just happen to kneecap every single real initiative that could upset the establishment, like Medicare for all, third-party initiatives, criticism of the Squad and AOC. I mean, all of those are clearly just coincidences. I mean, what if it's just a concern? I mean, that one guy who stalks you on Twitter, who's that guy? He's got a Lego profile picture. I always notice him. Clearly, that's just a really concerned citizen, right? That's not a guy.
High progressive. They stalk us, all of us.
Yeah,
it's Philip Cross's little brother.
Oh, Philip Cross. Oh, I know Philip. Philip.
Oh, you know Philip.
Yeah, Philip. He's totally a real guy, and he's
Totally real.
He's just a concern.
He's definitely not an MI6 operator.
No. He just edits thousands of Wikipedia articles at lightning speed every single day, and happens to be overly concerned with combating anti-Western perspectives on Wikipedia.
Yeah, he's a very hard worker. He hasn't taken a day off in like 5 years. You know.
Well, you see, it's because he's made so much money investing in Bitcoin. That's why he can retire now.
Brownshaw wants to know which part of my body should I take a picture of? Infrahaz at.
There you go. I mean, that's exactly the type of response I would expect from someone who's clearly has an AI generated. I mean, you could literally just take another selfie. I'm not telling you to take a picture of your body. I'm saying if you want to prove you're not an AI generated profile picture, you're welcome to just take a picture of a side profile of your face, right? Or anything you want, right?
You know what's what strikes me about these people with this people like the people we're talking with right now who just are part of these astroturfed campaigns is that they never actually get any of the things that they say they stand for. Like, we don't have Medicare for all. We don't have, black people are still getting killed in the streets. There's been no justice reform. So it just seems like a part of me feels like they're addicted to losing.
Yes.
They just
100%.
They like to lose. They think that's what progressive is in America. Is losing.
They only support victims, right? Because Russia is proudly defending itself and its territorial sovereignty. They don't see them as worthy allies or worthy of supporting.
Russia.
Same with China.
Russia's excommunicated itself from the global south. It's no longer an indigenous Amazonian tribe resisting neoliberalism. It is
Yeah.
now well, it's a kind of like a toxic masculine energy we're getting from Russia, right?
Yeah,
they,
they
they must be
right.
really obsessed with losing. That's probably why Sam Cedar decided to debate me.
True.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well,
No,
that's why
they
they're
love
supporting
playing the
Ukraine.
victim. They want to be the victim, and they want to side with other victims. So it's definitely like a victim mentality.
They believe in the liberal order. They believe in the system of Wall Street and the City of London. That's what they're devoted to. And they carve out the victimhood within that system.
I'm gonna bring in
Yeah, spot on.
Pestomime, and then guys, it's a full house after Pestomime. No more people.
Pestomime.
I mean, I think that losing a platform like Twitter would be pretty consequential because Twitter, like I said before, drives news coverage in many cases. The fact that we can't do Twitter Spaces, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean Twitter overall. I mean they may just go on a purge, and we just may our accounts may just get deleted, and there's nothing we could do about it. These are people who banned the president, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They may just
I
decide
mean, I
that.
think at a certain
Sorry, go ahead.
time, all these alternative voices on all the major platforms are going to get gone. It's just a matter of time. That's why spaces like Telegram and Rockfin are important.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
there's
I
another
need to
one
start a
called
Telegram.
Getter. You can actually transfer your followers from Twitter to Getter because that's what happened to me. I remember when I first signed up for Getter, I had 81,000 followers on Twitter, and then it just, automatically added that to my Getter account. So I would suggest let's get on Getter. Let's get on what's Trump's social media
I
app?
think it's actually out on the App Store. As a matter of fact, I may just get it right now. Where can I
Yeah, it's
find it?
called
Yeah,
Truth
I'm gonna do the
Social.
same thing.
Truth
No, you can
Social.
get it. You can get it, but it's not like I made my account, but it doesn't it's like a wait list right now.
Yeah, that's fine. Um,
But everyone should get it.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same. Also, Getter if you don't have it. I
But
wonder if we
Getter
can do space.
when they transfer the followers, those followers aren't on Getter.
Yeah, I think they reserve those spaces
Oh.
for Getter. It works. I mean, it's super interesting and it makes the transition much easier, which I like, as opposed to
I heard
starting
bad
something from
things about
scratch.
Getter, like that it's like there's some problem with it or something like that. Did you guys hear anything?
That was the problem. Joe Rogan was talking about that. He didn't like that.
What was the
Oh,
problem?
The follower thing.
Oh, I heard it was something about data they didn't like
Oh. I
yeah.
don't know.
was it coming from liberals? Because a lot of liberals are saying a lot of shit about any sort of conservative social media network.
That makes sense.
No,
Wasn't
yeah.
there another one? There was like another Twitter alternative.
Parlor.
Yeah, what happened to that?
Oh my gosh, they tried to remove it from the Apple Store, or actually, they succeeded after the January 6th riot. And then I don't know what happened. It switched hands or something like that. Does anyone know?
Yeah, so they decided to host it in Russia because I used to be a webmaster on a gaming website, and anyone who knows anything about servers, hosting in Russia is a great way to stay beyond the reach of U.S. Technological authoritarianism, I guess you could say.
Sounds
So they hosted in Russia.
anti-authoritarian, right?
Right, exactly. So you host this website in Russia, and it's a lot less likely to get taken down per request by any sort of legal entity. But after it switched to Russia, I think it kind of fell off because what ended up happening was all those people fled to Telegram. There was like a mass exodus to Telegram, and Telegram's numbers shot through the roof. So I think people just mostly it disappeared for a week, and by the time it came back in Russia, um, people had already made the switch to Telegram. So I think it kind of just disappeared.
Hmm.
How does Telegram work? Is it like a
Telegram
Discord?
isn't. Yeah, sort of. It's.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a
you have
lot
your
like
own
Discord.
channel,
Yeah, and it's encrypted, right? Or it has
but it's not the
very,
same
very
as
good.
Twitter. It's not a real alternative to Twitter. Twitter,
Yeah.
you're allowed to engage with people, and you know, it's a great resource. Certainly better than any other social media network of the past, like Facebook, which is dead, or
Right. I
Instagram.
mean, it seems like all these other the thing about Twitter that makes it so powerful is it's not like super decentralized. Everyone's in kind of the same space. And you get caught in these like algorithmic bubbles, but it's not like built into the network or program or platform as it is on Facebook or on Telegram and other platforms. So I think Twitter is where it's at right now, but the CEO just stepped down, and now you've got a bunch of NATO think tankers running the show, basically. So, I don't think we'll be around much longer, in all honesty.
That's going to continue to be the case, and
I'm
there's no. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not too worried about the future of I personally already built like we built our own website and shit. And I think, as much as I don't like the guy, I think Nick Fuentes has proven that platform independence is very possible. That guy's following is just incredible. Like, you would not believe how much he doesn't seem like he's that relevant because you don't see him on Twitter, but like he has like a giant army of supporters, right? And he's pretty much proven that you can be platform independent in this day and age. But
I never thought of that before, but
Yeah,
something to
more
consider.
people are making that move. I'm in Vegas right now. I live in Nicaragua, but right now I'm in Vegas, and last night I met up with Pasta from Convo Couch and the guy from Slow News Day. And I think he's setting up his own independent platform too, because I mean, people have lost like 40% of their income after getting like fucked with by YouTube. So I think it's not only possible, it's like an absolute necessity to have this platform independence. And it's difficult for people with like budding platforms, but for people like y'all, I mean, get on it before it's too late, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, the craziest part isn't even the outright banning. The craziest part is like when you look at these accounts that are these channels that started before the algorithm was on YouTube was like directed in favor of mainstream media, and they would just blow up, and their videos would be recommended everywhere. And that was like an era before I was on YouTube and Haas, you were on YouTube. But I'm like, I just can't imagine where we would be if it was that time, all things being equal.
Yeah. I actually am going to make a Telegram channel myself because Discord, actually, if you didn't know this, is implementing a new sweeping, campaign against misinformation, March, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, we actually need to get people to transition from Discord to Telegram soon, probably.
I would also suggest that you make a VK account. It's like
Oh, I
Russian
have one, yeah.
Facebook. Okay, you do.
Yeah.
All right. Then there are a few others, I think. There's a TikTok app, a Russian version. It's called Yappy. I wasn't able to download it, but
VK has
it's something
a TikTok part of it.
Oh,
Yeah, it has like one of those.
interesting.
Yeah. But
I think Telegram's like the safe haven. I mean, that was one of the first things I did when I joined Midpress is we set up a Telegram
well,
channel. And I was,
here's the thing
telling
is
my
that
boss that it's only a matter of time until we're all gone. We got to do this now before it's too late.
well, these liberals that are
Yeah.
banking on censorship to be able to fulfill their social agendas, the reason it's a complete like farce is because this notion of a neutral and free and open internet is going to disappear very soon. I mean, China has China's Great Firewall, Russia has VK, and these are, state-backed, sovereign types of platforms, right, and uses of the internet. Well, American internet just pretends to be universal. That's obviously not sustainable in a multipolar world. So we're going to see things like Trump's social. We're going to see Internet 3.0. We're going to just see an increasingly, like, dropping the veneer of neutrality. But listen, when that happens, I mean, what's the point of using Twitter? I mean, are liberals particularly like charismatic and appealing at being authoritarians? No. If we're gonna have authoritarians and people who censor shit, we should have people like, like China or something. People who actually like look good, right? The only reason Twitter gets away with like having an edge over any of them is because it pretends to be like universal and neutral. But when it starts to ditch that, it's like what? We're gonna be in like the blue hair brown shirts. I mean, it's not particularly appealing. I don't think.
We need real neutrality.
Problem is, there's also the potential of some congresspersons telling Apple and Google to remove, say, Telegram from the App Store or any other app. That's happened in the past. I think AOC was the one who got Parler removed from both Google and Apple.
Oh, Logo! Good news. Logo is coming on. He's
okay,
right
cool.
What's up, Logo?
Since he's available on his computer.
We want neutrality on social media and neutrality in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Sameera, I think you made a really good point, though, because you can have platform independence. You can go to alternative platforms, but they can also just block you from the app stores. They can shut your websites down. They can go after your website hosts, at least if you're based in the United States. So it's definitely a problem where I mean this kind of censorship could spell out really like the death of the internet as we know it. And it's already decaying pretty rapidly, but I think it's gonna get.
I'm not too worried about censorship. It's one of those things which you can't control. You have to accept. You have to adapt to.
They don't want to censor things. What they want is this is like Metal Gear Solid 2, yo. They just want to control context, and if you haven't noticed, they have complete, total, fucking full spectrum dominance of the context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
Also, I looked into it. I went back and after January 6th, AOC was the one who did indeed get Parler removed from both the Apple Store and the Google Play Store.
What a progressive, democratic. I mean, I think what it's
extremely progressive.
Yeah, I mean,
extremely progressive. It's on brand. That's AOCIA.
They literally say we're going to be democratic socialists because, like, we believe in liberal rights and civil liberties and freedom of speech.
Anti-authoritarianism.
Yeah, and how do they? She acts like fucking Hitler, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that thing called when you have corporations working with the government to censor free speech? What do we call that again?
Oh, it's democratic. It's democratic, anarcho, libertarian workers' control of the means of the safe space.
Yeah.
We're anti-authoritarian because we actually want to do the authoritarianism ourselves. That's what.
Yeah, I mean,
AOC really doesn't have any power, you guys. So don't ask anything of her unless you want to get something removed from the App Store. Then, of course, you might be able to do something, but. Don't ask for any
single tweet.
Sort of like policies.
One single tweet.
She's just a mod, guys. She's just a mod. You can't ask her to change the policies of the site. She's just clearing up bad actors, okay?
Yeah, she's a victim of the Democratic Party and the Democratic establishment, Ted Cruz is also trying to murder her every 5 seconds.
Ted Cruz, yeah, he was trying to murder her at that horrible insurrection.
Yeah, because his posts were very bad. He had very bad posts, so we have to block him.
You guys, I'm wondering if our Twitter Spaces were getting banned by that by that person because we were being disrespectful and we weren't taking a moment of silence for the 13 brave heroic souls who lost their lives to snake.
Jesus, we should take a moment of silence.
Maybe we should. Yeah,
for the Snake Island 13.
I'm taking a moment of silence for all of those slain in Tomato Town. Personally.
Oh God, the Tomato Town massacre. That must have been the worst one yet. The Russians perpetrated.
Yeah, the ghost of Kiev just like hot dropped in Tomato Town, and my God, he was going ham. He was on a tear. He had the Thanos glove.
Well, no, guys, did you hear? In addition to, there's a new character in the Ukrainian cinematic universe, and it's called. Let me fucking pull it up here. It's called the Kharkiv Killer. And it's a 17-year-old woman who took down 3. Now, forgive me, I don't know what this actually is. She supposedly took down 3 BTR A12s. You know what that is? Yeah, she took them down by herself. What's a BTR A?
Feminism.
Okay, so this is apparently this woman right here took down 3 of these tanks. It's like an APC tank, right? And 2 BTR 80s. Let's check those. And so she took out
the patriarchy.
She took out 5 tanks by herself, apparently. They're calling her the Kharkiv Killer. And this is the next addition to the Ukrainian cinematic universe. And
I love that she's a woman.
yeah, she mobilized the entire column as they attempted to enter Kharkiv, and they never saw her coming.
Can't wait until Scarlett Johansson plays her in the next.
Maybe this is something lost in translation though, because he does it. This is clearly someone from Ukraine. I mean, this is clearly a native Ukrainian. They have the blue wave emoji. They have F Trump and 25 followers. Clearly a native Ukrainian who made this post. Yeah. But so this person,
like the native Indian, who's
and it got 2,500 likes too. This is clearly a native Ukrainian reporting from on the ground in Ukraine. But I think they may have made a mistranslation from Ukrainian to English. They said they never saw her coming. I think they meant to say they never saw her at all because she doesn't exist.
Well, that's I would be surprised.
Dude, you're hurting morale. You're hurting morale.
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
You're hurting the morale.
Feminism is when
you're hurting morale.
Thank you, Hux. You know what? I'm actually single-handedly responsible.
Wants to come on.
Who does?
Wants to come on. I asked you to send me the link 10 minutes back. I will be using a voice changer because your followers are aggressive and I fear abuses and attacks. But yes, happy to join. So I'm going to send you this person's Twitter. Either you or Jackson give her directions because I want to talk to this person.
Okay. No way. I don't want to have to DM her. Can you just give her a Discord?
I don't know what to do.
Someone give her a Discord invite. I don't want to have to talk. I don't want to have to DM them, honestly.
How this is simultaneously one of the most horrific things.
Thank you, Jen.
But also the funniest fucking thing I've ever experienced in my life. I can't stop laughing at all of this. People are fucking insane right now. It's hilarious.
Thank you so much, Janar. Well, make sure you don't hurt morale, okay? Because, look, we know it's not true, but come on, you're hurting morale. I mean, there's so many 72-year-old Ukrainian babushkas who are so eager. They need that little extra push to take up their Kalashnikov and go fight the Russians. All they need to do is hear reports on Twitter of the Ukrainian Reaper and the Ghost of Kiev, and they'll just be on the front line. So please don't hurt morale, okay?
Listen, even hypothetically, if this what are they calling this person?
This one's the Kharkiv Killer is the latest edition.
Nowhere near as based as our star of the Red Army, Ludmila Pavlichenko.
Oh, yeah. What?
Nowhere near.
Hold on, but Jackson. To be fair, it's not fair because that's actually a real person, right? Come on, don't hurt morale.
Well, what's funny is that all these narratives that Ukraine has been trying to push out about being a friend of the left, right? You've got these people, these black people who are being refused to get on buses to leave the country. You've got all these tales of heroism going down the drain. So it doesn't surprise me that they would try to prop up a woman to make themselves look better as their story just needs to get debunked again. But they're probably going to make it harder and harder to debunk by making these stories more vague. How are we going to find out if this woman is real or not? It's basically impossible.
So, unfortunately, the progressive government, the progressive Western and civilized government of Poland, it's very much progressive and very tolerant society. And yes, they were turning down Africans at the border who were trying to flee, but that wasn't because they were Africans. It was because they were subjecting them to examinations about their views on LGBT rights, and it turns out they didn't pass the test. Okay, so that's the reason you're seeing them being rejected at the border. It's nothing to do with race. It's because, well, it's because those people, you know.
Honestly, do they? You
simply
can't
weren't
ask them
woke.
to provide a platform for that sort of hate. You can't provide a societal platform for that sort of hateful like types of people.
Of
They're
course.
hateful. You can't provide them a life platform.
Wow, it's crazy. Like when Ace SB reports that a Ukrainian plane is shot down, like they actually show evidence and they show the Ukrainian insignia and they show like that it's a Ukrainian model plane and like they actually post the evidence. Whenever we hear these grand reports of Ukrainians doing all of this spectacular military feats that are just heroic and legendary, like there's no evidence, right? It's pretty crazy.
I mean, they gotta make something up, right? Because otherwise, it just looks like they're getting destroyed in front of the entire world, and there's nothing they can do about it. When that is basically the reality of the situation.
Hey, okay, so I'm gonna be like black pill mode here, but the goal is for this to be a failure because that's what in the interest of everyone. Like they're making this a spectacular thing so that everyone in the West will be disappointed when they're not handed the victory they've been promised by their propaganda. So when that finally is revealed to them, when this is finally revealed to the American people, they're gonna be war hungry. They're gonna be war hungry as a motherfucker, and they're going to be begging.
That's what I said
begging
earlier.
For retaliation.
I said the same thing. That's 100%.
The Republicans are going to be like, Biden is not harsh enough. He is not having reprisals. The Democrats are going to do it just so that they're like war hawky enough. Like it's all primed. The context is there.
I said it will be also used against China in the future. So.
This is actually
absolutely. We can't let this happen to Taiwan. We can't let this happen to Hong Kong. We can't let this happen.
This is fucking. It's just like makes us feel kind of helpless because it's like, they're gonna have this whole feeling of like revenge, and they're gonna be like, oh, it turns out Russia won and Ukraine lost, and it's like, but we were telling you the whole time that the reports were fake and Ukraine never stood a chance, and it's like we're gonna fall on deaf ears and no one cares about the truth. It's sad.
Yeah, and it also goes back to what I was saying in my Twitter space that Americans are also obsessed with winning, right? So that ties into it as well.
Actually, an underdog. Are you kidding me? We have to let the underdog win. Like they're fighting the big tiger, the big panther of the East. The Asiatic
Russian
despotism.
imperialism, the new Hitler.
Literally, I've seen people like starting to compare like them to like the IRA, to like the American independence movement. Like it's literally like all fucking camera.
Also,
upside
Palestine.
Down world.
Oh,
they're making a lot of Palestine comparisons.
Sickening.
Oh, it's just like it's the same exact thing. Like for example, I mean, Palestinians have just been really oppressing Israelis who are living within Palestine, right?
Yeah. And I love how they're citing the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth.
Oh, yeah, it's the intermarium is the whole context of this entire thing. The whole like Ukraine EU dream is
literally
based on...
There's a Rand report. I could pull it up right now, but it's like chapter 3 of the fucking Rand report on like dividing up Russia, and like it's just step by step laying out everything in the news cycle over the last like month. Like we're getting a coup in Belarus right now too.
Can we sum up what intermarium is and what Prometheism is for the audience, if anyone doesn't know?
Logo, you want to do it?
I'm pulling up the Rand paper, but my boy, I gotta find it real quick.
Haas, I think you can do it.
Yeah, so intermarium is this idea which was promoted by the Polish kind of crypto-fascist dictator from the 1930s. Wisłocki is how you say his name.
Yeah.
And he had the ambition of... So, in the 1600s and part of the 1700s, you had the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. This was a very large commonwealth, kind of empire, that spanned many, many territories. Belarus, parts of Ukraine, most of Ukraine, I think, Poland, obviously, and then part of the Balkans and Lithuania, the Baltics. Just pretty big place, right?
Yeah.
And he had this dream, and then it was broken up by Russia, the Russian Empire. Then Poland became part of the Russian Empire, right? And all these territories kind of were absorbed by both Russia and Austria-Hungary. So Pislutsky creates this complete pipe dream from scratch, like in the 1930s, that, why don't we revive this kind of older, ancient empire or whatever and recreate the Intermarium, which will be dominated by like the Western Catholic Church, right? And this kind of element. So he kind of created the dream of taking the Soviet territories, taking parts of Ukraine, Belarus, and just reviving this area into a new geopolitical bloc, whether politically or economically, through economic integration or whatever. So obviously, Soviet Union kind of put an end to those dreams for the better part of the 20th century after World War II. But after the collapse of the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc, Poland has, what do you know? It has recreated this ambition alongside, with the help of the U.S. actually. And what they want to do is recreate the Intermarium through a new type of economic integration, which they call the 3 Cs Initiative, which is going to be a kind of infrastructural initiative to replace the old Soviet infrastructure, the old Warsaw Pact infrastructure, including Romania and others, just to create this new geopolitical space. So Poland is kind of trying to create its own polarity, and all these protests in Belarus, as well as the Maidan revolution in 2014, all of these have as their context Poland's attempt to revive the Intermarium.
Yeah. And it's also
it just blows my
ethnic.
mind how far this
The
far right
Rand paper.
nationalism goes back in history and is still relevant to these conflicts today.
Yeah, their main
you really
argument
have to know
is
your
that
history.
Russians aren't real Slavs and they're too Asian to be real Slavs. So there is an ethnic element to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you want to hear the Rand paper?
Yeah.
I got it up.
Sure.
Let's hear
it. So it's a 2019 paper. It's called, it's a big report, actually. It's called Extending Russia, Competing from Advantageous Ground. I posted it in the general on the Discord if anyone wants to pull it up. But it's, if you look at chapter 3 into chapter 4, we got here, this is economic measures. That's probably the most important part, right? We got measure number 1, hinder petroleum exports. We definitely saw that go through. Measure number 2, reduce natural gas exports and hinder pipeline expansions. Well, we shut down the Nord Stream. We got that one through. Measure 3, impose sanctions. Definitely got that one in. Measure 4, enhance Russian brain drain. And what that is you're getting all of the Rick and Morty protesters in St. Petersburg and whatnot. That's how you enhance the brain drain. You have them feel like they're alienated or whatever because they're consuming tons of elite global media like Rick and Morty. So then we move on to chapter 4. Here's our geopolitical measures. We got measure number 1, provide lethal aid to Ukraine. Yeah, I think we're seeing that. Measure 2, increase support to the Syrian rebels. Again, this was 2019. So, I mean, we'll see about that. Measure 3, promote regime change in Belarus. I think we're definitely seeing that. Measure 4, exploit tensions in the South Caucasus. I think we're seeing that. Measure 5, reduce Russian influence in Central Asia. Definitely seeing that. Measure 6, challenge Russian presence in Moldova. I feel like that's yet to be seen, but we might be seeing that one pretty soon.
This is why it's so important to read these government documents, these think tank documents, because
it's literally that's the only thing that matters. It's also if you're looking at markets and stuff, you're talking about market actors. This is what people who read the Financial Times and like the actual fucking news that people who run the world actually read. This is the shit they're reading. They don't give a fuck about what's on CNN. That's not for them.
Yeah.
Let me bring in the LaRouche analysis, okay? And also, Haas, Pestomime is in the show queue.
Oh,
he would be really good to have.
Right.
But so the economic forecasters at Executive Intelligence Review, who are trained in the LaRouche-Riemann method, they worked with LaRouche for 50 years. Their very clear view is that the United States will change. In other words, that people are looking at this dynamic And they're terrified that the United States could never actually respond to the proposals of Russia and China for a new security architecture and for a new financial architecture that ensures the development opportunities of every nation. But people are concerned that it's people think it's ridiculous. They think it's impossible for the United States to join that, to respond to what China has proposed, as back in 2013 and 2014 when Xi Jinping proffered the United States to join the Belt and Road Initiative. But the United States will change, because what we are practicing now against the Russian central bank and against the Afghan central bank is going to be the case in the United States. In other words, that the very real future that we are facing without a shift in policy is that this hyperinflation that we are in will get sort of completely out of control. Not that it isn't already out of control, but it will be impossible to rein in. And that's the driving characteristic of this crisis. I think it's really something that everyone who's listening needs to take account of, because I don't see any other political potential in the United States that could do the things that are necessary, other than when I see represented here and a few other networks that exist in the United States. We need to actually be able to get establishment figures in the U.S. who are less than insane to respond to reality. And I think that reality is primarily defined by this financial crash.
I think that's fundamentally impossible is the problem. I'm going to go Michael Hudson here and be like, yeah, but that's not going to happen because it's fundamentally impossible with like the structures that we're in here. Like these have to run themselves out. Like this literally just has to collapse from its own internal contradictions. Like there's no other way at this point. And it's not going to get better very soon. No, there is a solution. History is the solution. Like it's going to solve itself the hard way.
You're talking about mass death of the American people.
That's already happening, dude. What are you talking about?
Yes, it
We
is.
have mass death of the American people every day.
Yeah, we're talking about
like it's just continuity of the same.
You're talking about an incredible continuation of that. Large numbers of people starving to death in the United States, like is happening in Afghanistan right now.
That's already happening.
The process will continue. You seem to agree with me on that.
I just walked past. I just walked around SF, right? I just saw motherfuckers with like G36Cs like busting a house. I just saw like homeless people getting swept up in this shit. Like, what do you think happens every day in this country?
It's the fundamental issue that I'm pointing to, that people actually have to respond to the human crisis. They have to actually acknowledge the humanity of the other and devote themselves to uplifting the condition of humanity. I don't see any other option.
I agree, but what I'm saying is that do you see the full spectrum dominance that's been established here? Like you can't just solve that by like having like happy, fancy, like nice words and things and spreading pamphlets in the park. Like that's not how it works.
Tell me, how do you think we can solve it?
I'm telling you the Maoist line, dude. Like you have to wait for this. We are laying the groundwork, the very, very pre-frameworks for something that will be possible, like maybe later in our lifetimes, but we have a long way to go. We have such a long way to go.
Unambitious. I think that is absolutely low. No,
this is ambition. This is realism. This is pragmatic ambition. This is real.
Pragmatism is bullshit. We should actually be looking at the fact China and
Mao is a pragmatist. Mao is
Lukashenko
like Mao,
is saying
we're talking about Maoism here.
You can talk about Maoism. I'm not talking about Maoism. Lukashenko, among others, he just said yesterday, we are talking about nuclear war. I can quote from him directly. He says, now there's a lot of talk about the banking sector. Gas, oil, SWIFT. It's worse than war. This is pushing Russia into a third world war. Nuclear war is the end of everything. So if we can't change right now, then we might simply lose the human race.
And your plan for change. Your plan for change is to find representatives that aren't totally crazy, right? Any idea as to who those representatives are? Like your best bet?
I'm not sure about the Congress. There are people like there are people who you could turn to, but I'm not sure about the Congress. I think that there needs to be an effort to find the people who actually understand what is coming. The vast destruction of life in the United States, which Logo is decrying, and I do too. But what is to come? And what is being waged upon the people of Afghanistan and across the world, and of course the people of Ukraine and the people of Russia. You have to find the people in the United States who still have some kind of moral compunction about that, and you have to call on them to address the solution concept. And the solution concept is rather direct.
Literally Ron Paul. Tell me who else. Who else? We got Ron Paul. Who else do we got?
Go to Ron Paul, Logo. That's what I'm saying. And call on him to address the crisis with the only things that can work. You cannot deal with the financial crash without Glass-Steagall. You cannot deal with a financial crash without Glass-Steagall. It's impossible.
Daniel,
do you think that this is a realistic and viable
so much, but I'm telling you, be real. Be real. Think about it. Like, look around you. Do you think that we're going to elect our way out of this?
Is to lay down and take it.
Well, I think shouldn't we?
No, it's not.
Shouldn't we? So if I gather from what Logo's saying, correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying we need to have a more kind of cultural revolution, right? Hello?
That's what we've been saying.
I think that's his point.
What has Logo been saying?
I don't hear Logo for some reason.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Logo.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Am I in?
Yeah.
My mic. They don't want you to know what I'm trying to say here, but it's true.
CIA.
We are in the late empire. You are not getting out of this with elections. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. You're not going to do it.
I somewhat agree, but I think my perspective, I think it kind of differs from both of you. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does. Mine is basically that forget about talking about seizing power because it's not going to happen for a very long time. Just build a base. Have a communist party. Have a movement. Have a corporation, actually. I actually believe we need our own corporation. By corporation, I mean an organizational apparatus that has a definite way of acquiring revenues and distributing that revenue in an organized, accountable manner that can be self-sustaining and kind of autarkic, right? So that if shit does hit the fan, we can have a solid base with which to have as a platform to organize things, right?
Yes,
not just
precisely.
That's what I believe in. Yeah, I believe in building the party, building the church. Like on this rock, we build our church. That's what we need to do.
We need the battle tank, the Hussite battle tank.
Yes, precisely. That's my perspective right now. And then with that tank, I mean, that does come with, though, to be fair to Daniel in his perspective, that also does come with, trying to get elected maybe, if we have time, right, at a local level and at a state level. What Steven Estrada's doing in Long Beach, I completely commend what he's doing. And he has my full support and the full support of my platform. But I think it can be a combination. But I think the most important thing is to have this kind of nucleus of a
you have
shell.
To take it out of Fred Hampton's book. Fred Hampton is the prophet of the times. Fred Hampton, what did he do? They built their own infrastructure. We're not getting our needs satisfied by this. We need to literally replace
and to be clear, I don't think it's not even so much necessarily about building infrastructure right now. It's just about building the organizational apparatus that something like that can be possible, right? Like have streams of revenue and organization and distribution, and the most important thing I think that's part of that is you need to have discipline. The key to this is my view actually. I kind of believe in America's the land of cults. I think we need to turn maybe the Communist Party, turn it into a cult. Now, bear with me here. I don't mean a cult in the way you're thinking of it. I just mean in the sense of what our enemies would call it. Because we are living in George Soros's open society. We need to have this microcosm of a closed society where we have a culture of discipline and prohibition. That there are some things we don't discuss with outsiders. There are some things we don't... There are
authoritarian.
Yeah, precisely. A party discipline, democratic centralism, right? We need to have a closed society of some kind. And I'm not by cult, by the way, I'm not talking about like Bob Avakian, where we brainwash people and we antagonize others. I believe in open dialogue. I believe in having free thought. I just believe we need to have we need to have a fundamental respect for the party to the point where we do recognize like you're in the party or you're out of the party, right?
Well, there's a lot of connections being made in my head right now with what you said, Haas, but I can't tell you about it because you're an outsider.
That's funny.
Logo was saying something. I want to hear.
I'm saying you need to provide something. Like, people need things. There are things people need. Who is giving them those things? Be that person.
I agree.
What you need to be.
I actually the reason I'm even in media right now. I used to be a guy who didn't care about I didn't care about social media. I never published anything publicly. I just read stuff and wrote stuff for a select few people, right? The only reason I did this whole media thing in the first place was because I think the first thing you give people that you get anything going with is information. Yeah, media.
100,000%.
Yeah.
Step one is just tell the truth. We're in step one. We're very early step one. Like, we just need to establish
completely.
Hold on, all right.
What is the real? What is reality?
Spreading information?
We're literally at fighting right now just to establish what is reality. Like, we are at this phase.
I want to hear Daniel's
pie in the sky.
Okay, so here's information is never the truth. Information has nothing to do with ideas, with the formation of ideas. You need to give people the ability to have access to their own creative identity. You need to give people a sense of the fact that there is a future that they could create, that they can contribute to. A mission. They need a mission. They don't need someone to tell them, sit down and wait for the whole thing to collapse and let's bide our time. That's not going to fucking work. What we need to do, in my view, is to establish a concept of what is it that the United States could accomplish. And right now, we should take encouragement from the fact that Xi Jinping and Putin are behind us. So if you want to join with them, we should respond to the proposals that they have, a new security architecture and a new development architecture to bring the BRI worldwide. Why should we say to ourselves, it's not time to fight for the Belt and Road Initiative in the United States? Why should we say to ourselves, it's not time to fight for the World Land Bridge? This is insufficient for me.
I agree with you. We do need a mission. You can't just have a stream of information that's just descriptive. You also need to have a mission that comes. I completely agree. I mean, my small mission has been.
So, like, let's say our mission right now is like to educate people on like what the fuck is actually going on right now. It's like how are we doing in this?
Well, no, another mission, right, for me was also like telling the truth. Sometimes is a mission in and of itself, just because. Look, we live in a society. I mean, this is a kind of paradox of activism we really need to think about. We don't live in a society where people just do nothing. We live in a society where people are automatically feeling like they have to do something, right? And when you just tell the truth, you suddenly cut into people's like activistic inertia, where they're just activists who are in reality doing nothing, and actually like confronting them with this anxiety that everything they think about the world and all the communities that they're part of and all the discourse they're participating in is complete bullshit and it's completely false. And when you leave people stranded with not having any like teeth to suckle on, so to speak, to like, just go be activists and fulfill their own guilt and all that pathological bullshit, I think that really does manage to awaken people to an authentic mission, to do real things, to join, let's say, in my case, the Communist Party and work within that party to take it over, or maybe to build a party, or to inspire people to spread the word themselves and have a sense of like what we could be doing, as Daniel put it. Like, we can actually win the American masses. We can build a movement of millions and millions of people. We can have a state that serves the people. All this is very much possible. If you tell the truth, you open up the threshold of what people consider possible. And when you're able to do that, people will by nature, right, awaken to that mission through action. I think activism is the number one problem right now. Activism dilutes Activism leads people to senselessly,
Yes.
well, like
Act on their emotions also.
scratch an itch like AOC. Oh, get out and organize and get out and organize. This is all meaningless with these DSA people. Canvass for the local election. Canvass for Biden. This is just nonsense.
Every time we tell the truth on Twitter, I have a bunch of people in my mention saying, why don't you organize instead? So clearly you're making the correct point. I have a question for all of you. If we want to convince Americans to join the Belt and Road Initiative, how will we do that? Through information, right? So I think adding to everyone's points. Go ahead.
Well, then how can you communicate it to them?
I think what's more important than giving people correct information about anything is getting people to understand the truth and understand the ideas behind the Belt and Road. That isn't just whatever numbers and things and stories that you read about on a piece of paper or something.
Sure, but I think there's two things with that, right? So I agree, you do need an overall mission, an idea, a bigger idea. So I agree with that. But people also want to see your idea prove itself by being able to fill in the cracks of the world around them. Because they're already getting targeted with so much information warfare. And they want to see, okay, well, how do you respond to what the big information is saying? And just telling people, well, it doesn't matter. My big idea is all that matters. That's something they consider unproven. It's like, okay, well, prove it. Prove concretely how your idea is superior to the big idea or the absence thereof that now prevails, the nihilism that now prevails. So you have to be able to fill in the cracks and be able to, prove your mettle.
It's not my idea. It's not.
You're dealing with You're dealing with the most psyoped population in the entire history of the entire fucking world. Like, I'm sorry to to rain on the parade here, but I'm optimistic, but I'm optimistic in a very pragmatic sense where it's there's good things happening in the world. There is not good things happening in America, and it's going to remain like that for a while because people are in active revolt against reality. They're in active revolt against reality. They are actively passing around disinformation, knowingly doing this, bearing false witness. These people are rebellious against God, and it will take generations.
Well, Logo, it might be true what you say that Americans are the most psyoped, but Americans are still, at the end of the day, human beings with human brains. And America might be the most demonic place on Earth, according to you, but it's still on Earth, and it's still part of the same world, filled with the same kind of species that China and Russia and what else
to rewire those brains. I think that's what's being said here.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the wiring of the brain of people. I don't think that's something the government can do.
Well, I think what they mean is there's something wrong at an unconscious level, not just a conscious one.
It's the contours of the cultural imaginary.
I get the point that
is the level we're talking about.
The question is there potential in the American people to change?
Yes.
Okay. I agree.
There's complete potential, but to demand this in our own lifetimes, I think is pride.
I think that's incredibly low ambition. I can't even believe you're saying that. That is so low ambition. Look at the great renaissances of the past. Look at the great renaissances of the past. You know a lot about them.
Those were not built in one lifetime. They were not built in one lifetime. No, they were not.
They were built.
They were not. They were built for
the intervention of a sovereign individual human mind. And look, we were talking all about the deplatforming earlier, and the fact is that Lyndon LaRouche was put in prison for 5 years. My friend Mike Billington was given a 77-year sentence. There have been a lot of efforts to shut people up in the United States, and the truth is still powerful. And if you bring those things forward at exactly the right moment, then you can change human history. That's exactly what Joan of Arc did.
There are people in active revolt against the truth. Like, that is the problem we're talking about.
When
We're
is that
talking
not
Well,
about
okay,
the case?
let's put it
When
this
is that
way.
fucking not
I
the case?
wanna negotiate a ceasefire by my perspective because I think it's a combination. So I agree with Daniel about the Renaissance thing because look at Mao's Cultural Revolution that happened in with the speed of lightning, right? But I also agree with
No, it
Logo.
didn't. No, it didn't.
Hold on,
Because
hold on,
the
Logo.
edifices
I'm
of
about
that
to
were
agree with
built
you.
after Warlord era and the
Okay,
collapse
okay,
of
I'm
the
about to
Qing
agree with
dynasty.
you.
It was
Okay,
decades.
just give me a second. The reason I also think Logo is correct is because it's not enough just to have this lightning moment of enthusiasm for a new idea and a new renaissance. In order to actually, in Logo's word, as Logo put it, rewire people's brains, you have to change people's habits. You have to change, not change them from the top down, but you have to see a change of people's spirit, their soul, at the level of their everyday morality, their everyday work, their everyday. It's not just good works in the Catholic sense, where you go out and pay your homage and lip service to some, idea or some religion. It has to be part of the fundamental fabric of your life to the point where, the issue is habit, right? You can have these exciting moments of a renaissance or a cultural revolution, but what does that mean in the long term? And I think when you want to see change in the long term of how it's like really going to be deep embedded in people's unconscious to undo all of that propaganda, I do agree with Logo that it will take probably generations. It's not going to happen once in our lifetime.
Well, let me propose the
Takes
following. Then.
generations. It always does. Like, you have to have faith over a longer time horizon than what is immediately visible to you. If you want to like press the button and have the result, and you're like, oh, I want to press the button and get the good thing.
I agree
want
with
to be
that.
there for it.
I
Like,
agree
you're
with
not
that.
Moses.
But I also
you're
think
not going to enter the promised land.
But I think to
You're not gonna
Daniel's
enter the
point,
promised
though,
land.
no, I agree with you. But I think also to Daniel's point, not necessarily this profound transformation of people's how people are unconsciously wired, but just the kind of enthusiasm for a new idea and a new moment and a new mission, right? I think those things can happen within our lifetime. Now, will it lead to an immediate result? Will it lead to a result that we'll see in our lifetime of the long-term change? Probably not. But I think within our lifetime we can see a big moment.
I think that you guys are missing the fundamental speed of scientific, technological, cultural development. And it's right in front of your eyes. Russia and China have a lunar base plan for 2035. The situation is that we are going to become, in fact, in 2013, the same year that Xi Jinping announced the Belt and Road Initiative, the Voyager went beyond the heliopause. Mankind is out in interstellar space right now. So to presume that this is somehow generations away is missing it. And I would further point to the fact that we are genuinely on the precipice of thermonuclear war, which I think we should discuss whether that is true or not. I think it's very much the case that we are close to the thermonuclear extinction of mankind, the only creative species on this planet. And that should be what changes people.
Unfortunately, I agree.
But it won't.
I don't know if it's gonna change people, but I do agree that we are on the cusp of like, I think if NATO does
nuclear disarmament is going to be part of the imperial expansion right now. Are
Yes.
you kidding me?
Yeah.
Since Belarus
That's
said that
true.
they're going to hold Russian nukes, we're going to be going all off. Like, that's going to be the next platform of imperial expansion, is talking about how we're going to forcefully denuclearize these countries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I know that for a
definitely.
fact because they're talking about getting Russia on the table to discuss New START and getting China on board to eventually denuclearize.
To be honest, I actually would consider it advantageous strategically for populists within America for a complete proliferation of nuclear weapons. Like, Venezuela should get nukes.
Yeah.
Cuba
Iran
should get
especially.
nukes. Iran needs. I mean, I am kind of upset with the clerical establishment of Iran that they issued a fatwa against nuclear weapons. I think Iran needs nuclear weapons, right?
Yeah.
I think
said that since the beginning.
I think Turkey. I'm sorry. I think Syria should develop nuclear weapons. I think under different governments, Iraq and Egypt should have them. Belarus definitely needs them.
Ethiopia. I'm giving nukes to Abiy Ahmed. That's what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
absolutely, Ethiopia.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention
100%.
Ethiopia should have nuclear weapons. I think. I think. Well, I think we just need every polarity that wants to be a sovereign country needs a nuclear deterrent at this point. Unless
that's the old model, isn't it? That's the old security architecture.
Well, how
I would disagree. I think it's always been disarmament, right? Even when nuclear weapons were in development, that was the goal. And now if we're going to shift the goal, I think that's definitely something to consider.
Well, I'll hear you out. What don't you think that these sovereign countries, in order to preserve their sovereignty, need a nuclear deterrent from an aggressive United States?
Geopolitical reality is like if you don't have a nuclear device, you do not have sovereignty. That's how it works. It's just a shorthand.
I mean,
exactly.
People talk about geopolitics. People say about it.
Yeah.
But what's the
Do
problem?
you think that can perpetuate for forever?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
so
no.
far it's been working.
No, I mean not forever.
Nuclear devices don't attack each other.
So what happens? Yeah, what happens next?
Nuclear deterrence.
Okay. Listen. Ideally, right? We owe the globalist, whatever we want to call this thing, the British Empire, whatever it is. This ruling class, this viciously pro-war establishment is overthrown. We have people's governments throughout the world, and we have a mutual disarmament, right? I completely agree with that, right? But only under those conditions do I think any kind of disarmament should be pursued. For as long as there's a U.S. empire, for as long as there's a British empire, I should say, sovereign countries need a nuclear deterrent. That's my view.
Let me make a quick response, okay? First of all, the only way that this era of nuclear deterrence is going to be ended is if we go to a higher level of technology, which needs to be based on new physical principles. And this is the entire basis for the Strategic Defense Initiative of LaRouche, which is that you need to be able to establish a means of destroying nuclear weapons with a higher level of technology. And that development process has got to be something that is done in a mutually beneficial way among different nations. There's no other way to deal with this. The Russians have responded to that proposal. Of course they did back then, but their policy is called the Strategic Defense of Earth. The Strategic Defense of Earth is asteroid defense. The Russians are calling on the United States to work together to defend Earth from asteroids. That's the kind of thing that would shift the world dynamic. As long as we're living in the Kissinger policy of mutually assured destruction, then we're just on the hair trigger for nuclear war, and we're going to kill ourselves. And I don't see how we can get much closer than we are right now.
To see.
The reason now all of a sudden the Social Democratic Party of Germany is announcing that they want to spend 100 billion more euros on their military. And there's a reason why all of these countries, I think Germany was included, are trying to slow down this whole stuff with the SWIFT thing, is because China and Russia are peacefully making their way into these other parts of the world. And that's a deterrent as well. So, because the reason why they're not going to want to do economic warfare on Russia is because they depend on this new higher standard of living that they've become acclimated to ever since Russia and Europe started having better relations. Ever since they started building all of these things like we saying that we should be building, like pipelines and trains and development corridors and power lines and power infrastructure and shared projects in science and technology.
All right.
These projects that we have together, then the more damaging a war would be.
So I think
because-
overall, when we're looking at the Ukraine crisis, Daniel, what do you foresee as the outcome of the current Ukraine crisis specifically, or do you have a prediction, or what do you think's gonna?
A forecast. My forecast is that until the Russian demand for new security agreements is met, then military technical actions will continue. They will be asymmetric, and they will be shocking to people in the West, just like the whole situation has been with Ukraine. And until the Russians get a sit down with US and NATO where they will actually respond to the fundamental demands that they have, then the Russians are incapable of doing anything except for taking moves like this one to completely turn over the chessboard.
Do you imagine it's possible?
I want to show you why you're being an idealist.
No, wait. Do you imagine?
Let's walk this through. Who's going to sit down with them? Who's going to sit down with them? Who you nominating to sit down with them?
If you act on the basis of the present condition of the U.S. leadership, then you might as well go kill yourself.
Wait, please. Stop. On, everyone stop. Please say in a video game.
In a video game.
Yeah, we can't say
that. What I really mean to say is that if you depend on the present existing situation with U.S. leadership, you'll get nowhere. You actually need to change the condition and the quality of U.S. leadership. That's what a political movement should be doing.
Okay. So do you foresee that
we'll just vote our way out into changing NATO and to having a sit down with
Daniel, as far as the forecast is concerned, do you think it's realistic that Russia may take similar actions in countries like Finland, which are now proposing that they want to see about joining NATO as well?
I will not predict what Putin will do because I think he's a creative genius. I think he'll do something unexpected. That's really the thing that he does best. But there are various, things that he could do, including placing weapons all around the world.
All right,
and so that will continue until we change.
Okay, yeah, and I really do think that the next thing we're going to see is Russian military bases in Latin America, and also new security pacts between the U.S.'s adversaries in response to the expansion of NATO. So
I think the Horn of Africa as well.
Yeah,
I think that's even more important geographically and strategically speaking than Latin America.
Yeah, if you notice,
we have to see what happens in Belarus. Really, Belarus is the kind of sleeper right now. Like, what happens with this coup? Because if they coup fucking Belarus, like Belarus joins NATO, like in what 2 years?
Oh, then it's over.
What's that mean?
Then it's war.
Right, and if you see what they're saying about Belarus right now, they're saying that all of these tanks are going through Belarus. They're trying to at least pin some of the blame on Belarus, and that
they've already sanctioned Belarus to punish them.
They already sanctioned Belarus.
Yeah, exactly. So,
overall, I think there's a few things we can take away from this conflict, right? One, the geopolitical implications we've already talked about, the lack of a stable security architecture, which is going to lead to more instability and more conflicts of this nature. But the second thing is also domestic, right? I think we are looking at the foundations, and I'm not being hyperbolic or exaggerating. We are looking at the foundations for fascism in the 21st century. For the first time, it wasn't Trump.
Already here. It's not foundations. Done. This was the victory lap. All done. Done.
Yeah.
Operation over. Accomplished. Mission accomplished. Here it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you would have shown the authors and the intellectuals of the mid-20th century, right, how we have a website called Reddit and Twitter where people are cheering on and applauding the slaughter of Russians. It's not even real, by the way, but they're making up all of these stories and they're all this rampant jingoism about Ukrainians, the Ukrainian Reaper and the Ghost of Kiev and all these fictions and how it's okay to lie about them because it's boosting morale. We have to censor opponents of the war. I mean, they would say, holy shit, we thought fascism was bad. This is a fucking nightmare, right? If you showed these people in the mid-20th century just what has become the mainstream consensus in the West, which is just this outright bloodthirsty vitriol racism against Russia,
Sinister.
talking
Nabokov
about
saw it all. Nabokov saw it all.
yeah,
Tail and Ben sinister.
open over calls for regime change in Russia, open calls for attacks against Russia. I mean, you would think that Hitler won World War II, right?
He did.
Yeah.
I think we shouldn't underestimate the degree to which fascism has been victorious. Like, we shouldn't underestimate the degree to which this is an abnormal thing. I mean, it wasn't like this.
That's the point of the Philip K. Dick book, by the way, is that there is no difference between that timeline and this one because they're the same. Like, he did win. Who's in charge of NATO? Fucking Adolf Weisinger? Who is he? He won. They won. The machinery behind it all won.
Yeah, the machinery,
worse now.
That's what the war in this is happening right now.
The machinery of the Third Reich has been preserved after World War II. The machine was preserved. The aesthetics changed, right? That's what people don't understand. Big breaking news. Checked fact checking. Okay, we're getting some breaking news. Let me check out what's going on. The Russian Defense Ministry, okay, this is huge. The Russian Defense Ministry has issued an appeal to the residents of Kiev. All civilians in the city can freely leave the capital of Ukraine via the Kiev-Vasilik Highway. The route is open and safe. Is this they're saying you can leave the country freely? Or just the capital?
People leave the capital for a while. They weren't letting people leave the capital. They had it locked down, but they're letting people leave the capital.
The government wasn't letting them leave?
They think it's actually going to fall.
The Ukrainian?
The government wasn't letting them leave.
The
Ukrainian. It would have been bad for morale if they were reporting that people were leaving, but now it's getting for real. So
wow.
Letting people leave.
So the Ukraine was this authoritarian Hitlerite state of Ukraine was prohibiting the residents of Kiev from being able to leave the capital. And Russia has opened up the highway for them, and now they can leave.
Anti-authoritarianism.
So Russia is saving Ukrainian lives.
Yeah.
They're saving the lives of their Ukrainian brothers, and the Ukrainian government wanted to endanger the lives of Ukrainians by forcing them to stay in the capital amidst the conflict.
The Russians in this are completely morally unimpeachable. To suggest that there is any equivalence or any question of morality or ethics in a fucking objective sense in this is to be a fucking imperialist.
We have more breaking
It
news.
is so self-evident.
Where are you getting this?
ASB Military News. They're very reliable from what I've seen.
Okay.
The Russian Ministry of Defense. Russian Air Force has gained air supremacy over the entire territory of Ukraine as of this morning.
God.
Oh my goodness.
This is, I'm sure, in response to the proposals for a no-fly zone.
Yeah, so they've gained total air supremacy over the whole thing. There you go. I mean, as far as NATO's no-fly zone, that's has become a pipe dream.
I'm telling you, this is part of the plan. This is part of the plan. The plan is not to fucking win here. We all know, they know that, like, the DOD has already broadcasted that Kiev was falling in 96 hours. They know it's falling. They know exactly what's going on. All of this is being set up to fucking fool all of the people in the West into thinking that something else entirely was going on, so that we can then justify the next. This is the new cycle, baby. We're launching the new storyline.
Yeah.
Supposedly,
Boss and Richard Spencer are on the same team. We're back together.
So hold on. Supposedly, this probably comes as news to no one, but the World Economic Forum has just announced its support for Ukraine.
Okay.
I really don't agree that this is planned. I mean, I'm sure that there are people. Read the Rand
Court documents, Daniel.
Can I respond? Daniel. You're not actually letting me say what I'm trying to say. I mean, the failure. You're claiming the failure is planned, right?
Yes, they broadcasted. They knew that this wasn't going to hold. They don't give a shit.
But that's not in the Rand statement, is it? That's not in the Rand statement, is it?
Yes, it is.
The failure of the invasion.
Did you read
the failure of the NATO
It's not
response?
A failure.
Where is it in the Rand thing? I just didn't see that.
Oh my God! What do you think they want? What do you think they want out of this? What do you think NATO wants out of this?
The thing is that I think the distinction is that you seem to have a rather big idea of the infallibility of your enemy. And I do not.
No, I don't. I just respect
seen...
that they have a lot of people working there. They have a lot of brain power working there. They're not dumb. They have this shit planned out. They have simulations. They do war games. They're not dumb.
They got defeated by the Taliban.
Oplix, go share this with Zerka. Oplix, go tell Zerka about this.
Yeah, it was in every single congressional report
Daniel.
before.
I respect him. Daniel is an optimist and he's an idealist, and I respect it. But like, let's be real. Let's be real.
So you're telling me that the plan this whole
pragmatic. Oh, go on, Pesto.
The plan that this whole time was to make all of these statements about Ukraine, so that the Russians would go into Ukraine, so that they could then use it to something about social media. Lay me out the plan. Like 1 year ago,
he's on Twitch.
NATO was planning this out. What was their order of operations for what we're seeing right now?
For what NATO had planned?
Because I think this is, someone told me this yesterday. I think it really is with all of these things people like to say that, you know, the government of Russia, or the governments of the West have these things planned out. But people plan things out, but like a boxer or a fighter plans out their fight, but then they never plan for getting hit or stumbling.
They have plan
Holy
A,
shit.
B, C,
Holy
D,
shit.
E.
If they didn't plan for that, then they'd be doing a shitty fucking job.
They are doing a shitty job.
They are. Because I don't think you could say that the West has gained more than it's lost in the past week. The Western establishment.
Yes, it has.
Hold on, all right, guys. I have to offer you a proposal. So I do have to go to the gym, but I could let you guys stay here and on the stream if you want, as long as you know.
Say we reconvene.
Yeah, we could just wrap it up.
We can reconvene another time.
Yeah.
But I'm upholding the fucking Maoist line on this. Like, I will prevail.
We'll reconvene sometime. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. I'm not exactly sure. I might take tomorrow off. We'll see what the news is.
It's called twitch.com/worldlandbridge.
Oh my god.
And
okay, bye guys.
Be streaming it there.
All right, guys. Twitch.tv/worldlandbridge. You heard it. All right. See you later, Logo. And thank you, Daniel, for coming on, and also Pesto. Thank you, and of course, Sameera. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
And we're all gonna be, with the exception of Logo, although Logo is more than welcome.
I think Logo should come.
Yeah, I think he should come too. But
yeah, I'll debate you live there, Logo.
But we're all gonna be at the CPI conference in Austin on the 12th.
Yeah.
The 12th in Austin. So guys, this is the gang. We're all gonna be there, right? Also, Jackson's gonna be there. Caleb's gonna be there. It's gonna be great. But anyway, what was I gonna fucking say? So the World Economic Forum has actually decided to come out. Carl Schwab and this guy is signing on it, and they're full solidarity with Ukraine, condemn the aggression by Russia and for its attacks and atrocities. What atrocities is it referring to? That's my best guess, right? But anyway, I will see you guys. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
All right. So, is there any more breaking news I should cover? Any more breaking news? Okay. Elden Ring? No, I have to go work out. Bank of Russia raised the interest rate. Is the Chechen thing fake news? Yes. Yeah, I reported the thing about the Russian Air Force gaining air supremacy. Okay, guys, I'm sending you to you know who. Now it's pretty obvious who I'm gonna send you to. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Maybe I may not see you tomorrow. Okay, I may not see you tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, we'll definitely have to see. I hope so. I hope I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Anyway, guys, been great. Been fun. Great stream today. Beautiful stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Hopefully we'll stream earlier tomorrow, right? And guys, I'm finally starting to get back into the groove of streaming. I like streaming now. I'm having a good time streaming. You know, having a good time. So, yeah. I hope you guys are too, you know? Oh, guys, by the way, since I have, like, spare time to talk about this, I'm beginning to like Elden Ring. I actually can understand it now. I know what it's about. I know what its theme is about now, like really well, especially if you understand Wagner. The problem is I can't play it on stream, right? I just like playing it off stream. I like Elden Ring. I want to talk about it a little more. I really like it, though. I really like Elden Ring, right? You call me a nerd, I don't give a fuck. I like Elden Ring. You know, there's something I did to the game that makes me really like it now that I didn't like it before, but I like it now, you know, now that I don't have to waste time. But I'll talk more about it later, okay? Yeah, I'm training. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.